Hello and welcome to the Ravens, a One Tree Hill podcast. I'm Simon and I love One Tree Hill.
And I'm Dom, and I've seen 185 episodes of One Tree Hill.
And tonight's episode for debate is no episode because we are honored to be joined by a very special guest tonight, Laguna Beach originator, Everyone is Doing Great star and co-creator, and of course our One Tree Hill legend. We've on the confines of One Tree Hill, he was our skateboarding clean teen, an off-screen carpet salesman, an on-screen bar manager, best friend and sponsor to Owen for exactly half of one season, Chuck's role model big brother, Top Gun dreaming Air Force pilot, and of course living in the middle of a love triangle between a rock star and a movie star, playing Chase Adams in 57 episodes of One Tree Hill. It's Stephen Colletti. Stephen, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Ravens podcast.
Man, that is the intro of all intros. That is the greatest intro I've ever received in my entire life. Thank you. That was impressive work right there. Very well done. And you got all of Chase into a couple of sentences there, if not just one, which is, maybe not that hard to do. You only in 57 episodes, not 185, 187. But yeah, thank you for that very, very generous intro. That was very well done. And you stole my bit. You guys were talking about how many episodes you've watched or whatnot. I was going to be like, I'm Stephen Colletti, and I was in One Tree Hill for exactly 57 episodes, and you got the number. So well done.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, that's great. And thank you. Well, do you know how many episodes of One Tree Hill you have seen? Like, have you seen it in its entirety?
I've seen at least every single episode once. Do not ask me what happens in like season two or three. When I first got on the show, binged the show really quickly, and seen a couple episodes here and there. I've done some rewatch episodes with Lafferty for Everyone is Doing Great when we were crowdfunding, and even just when we're kind of giving updates on the show, we like to pop on and do some rewatches from time to time. So we've done a handful of episodes there. But yeah, I have over the years, but I haven't gone back in over a decade and seen some of those earlier seasons. I mean, even some of the episodes and some of the later seasons too. It's been a while, so
So your own podcast could come out at some point soon. There could be a Drama Queens sequel when they finish.
I
Would
was
you?
just gonna say if you guys are getting to the end here now, it sounds like you let's just run it back, huh? So you want to go back through 187 and just maybe we could bring in Buckley and
Mhm.
James and there you go. The Drama
Perfect.
Kings.
I've been trying to convince Dom to that we should just start again. Like we have two episodes left. We've just seen Dan die, and we've got like two more to go, and then that's the end of like a 5 year journey. I'm like, let's just go again. Like we're kind of just picking up the momentum right now. So with
What if
like,
you just go backwards? You start from season nine.
yeah.
Start from the finale of season nine. It's like, well, this would be an interesting experience.
Watch
Yeah.
everybody get a little bit younger as they go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have like a really interesting journey in your career in terms of I don't know how many people have gone from like I mean I guess there are some, but as like from a reality sort of TV show into like One Tree Hill is a massive show. I mean, as you obviously know, because we just saw you in Paris. I mean, you're able to go to another country, across the world over a decade after the show finished, and the fandom, if not, is still growing. So it's not like you got a part on like a small soap opera or something. It's like a big show. Like, how was that always like your plan to get into acting, or like how did that manifest itself? Because you're also really good. Like, as in, it's not like, oh, that's a guy that's just learning to act or anything like that. It's like that's I was shocked. So sorry, I'm just rambling now. I've never seen Laguna
Okay.
Beach, but I was shocked when I found out that you had been on like a reality show. I was just like, I figured you were a actor, like, that was your
By
pedigree, like
trade.
everybody else. Yeah, like everybody else.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. One Tree Hill was one of my first gigs. I had done a feature film actually where Hillary Burton was on the film as well. We worked together. And I remember her talking about the show, and I'd heard of the show, and it's like, man, that seems like a really great show to be a part of. So when I did get the gig, I was so excited. It was the biggest dream come true in that moment. But then there was also this wave of anxiety going like, oh no, like I don't know if you're ready for this. Like I'm a couple years into studying acting and I was taking it very seriously. Of course, I came from a reality show, but I was very intrigued by acting. Had always been growing up watching film and TV, always wanted to be a part of it. It's even why I did that reality show. And um, I was going into a show that is 4 years in already, very successful, and I had a lot of respect for everybody that was on the show. And I was concerned about how they were going to feel about me coming on the show because that time in the business, and there still kind of is. Of course, there's this, you know, it's not exactly recommended to go ahead and try to do reality shows to maybe get your foot in the door, in this business to ultimately be taken seriously as an actor. It's not a recommended path. I wouldn't recommend it. Um, but I feel very, very fortunate that um, the universe just gave me that opportunity to go there and meet with those folks and work on that set. And Sophia was incredibly gracious with me because I was still very green. She had been working for years. I'd been working for like about a year as an actor and was still gaining my confidence. There's only so much you can learn in a little black box studio or black box theater, but you got to get on set and actually learn what it's like to hit those marks and not block someone's light and perform quickly. Don't not need necessarily a lot of takes because they got to move, they got to make their day. So Sophia really took me under her wing there when I first got there and made sure we were successful, which I'm eternally grateful for. But yeah, I always had an interest. I was afraid to admit that I was something that I was into when I was younger because I was in California and it's like, you're a beach kid, you're socializing and you're not going to be like a theater kid. I wanted to have fun and be accepted by, in social groups. And I was afraid, very immature guy that if I started to do any sort of theater in high school, I would not have that kind of experience. And at that point in my life, it was important to me to have that experience socially. But thankfully, by the time I got done with high school, I was kind of like, okay, what do I want? I'm sick of trying to, kind of conform to the trends of what's going on around here, and it's time to be my own person. And thankfully, because of that mindset in that second semester of senior year, when the reality show came around, I just kind of said, screw it. Let's go see what happens. Like no one's gonna see this show. I'm just gonna go meet some producers from MTV and we'll see if I can get some contacts and network from there. And I did not expect the show to be what it was. So yeah, very grateful, total victim of circumstance here. Got very fortunate and just had to buckle down, try to, turn down reality for a while, not do anymore. And just kind of study acting. And thankfully, One Tree Hill was that big opportunity for me.
Well, amazing answer, firstly. So thank you for that, because that's such great scope of kind of your journey from one step to the next. But when you moved into sort of One Tree Hill and that kind of bigger acting kind of role and those performances, did you find that there's certain elements of it? Obviously, it's quick education. You've got to learn quickly and get things moving, keep things rolling because time is money. So is there anything that you found I keep getting this wrong, or I keep kind of messing this up, or I wish I was better at this? And those were the kind of the moments that Sophia's going, "This is okay, this is fine, you're doing okay," you know.
I was so scared of screwing up that I over prepared. I would have Sophia run lines with me constantly. I was just like, whether we're walking back from rehearsals, whether we're in hair and makeup. I mean, it could be a one-page scene where we both have like three lines, and I was like, hey, you want to run it again? You want to run it again? You want to run it again? And she was so gracious. She never ever said no. She never ever was like, I need a minute. She was always down. There were sometimes I just come knock on her trailer and she's probably getting ready for the scene in her own route or the other seven scenes she probably has that day, other than her scenes with Chase. And um, she would run it with me. And so I think that it took me a couple of episodes on the show. Well, first of all, I just wanted to make sure I was like, all right, I'm going to play everything be pretty particular, work with my coach, and make sure I kind of hit my beats in a certain way that's like, okay, unless I get direction, let's play it pretty safe. Let's get in there, do the job. Like you're not some hero coming into the show taking over, a major role. Um, let's remember your place in the show and just do the job that they want, do what's on the paper, and let's move on. And maybe we'll get some more episodes. And thankfully, it worked out that way. I think I did. Oh shoot, I should know this, but it started out as I think 2 or 3 episodes, and then it got moved to 6, and that was huge. I was so excited. And then from there, it was like, okay, let's try to play around a little bit. I remember my takes were some of them didn't vary too much early on. And I would say that that was probably a mistake, was trusting that, hey, that first take, they got something there, and let's give them a little bit more. But I actually learned that from watching some of the other scenes. I remember watching Hillary Burton in some of her scenes, and every single take was so different. And so everyone was nails, everyone was usable. She just gave him something different. And so I wish I had that early on, that ability to kind of go a little different direction with every take. Um, and yeah, looking back, I'm like, man, it must have been Sophia must have been like, all right, okay, so this is how I can expect him. I know exactly how he's going to play it. It's like same in rehearsal, same in this, and same on takes 1, 2, and 3. So, if I could go back and tell myself, hey, you're going to be okay. Like you've got this. Let's play with it a little bit. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, another great answer. Thank you. Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but you come into One Tree Hill as a skateboarding clean teen, and your character goes on a great journey of evolution, gains texture and identity over time. But do you remember how the character was like first described to you? And as a follow-up, like how similar or dissimilar was Chase to you at that point in your life?
Yeah. I remember that Chase was carrying. They say he's carrying a lot of weight from what happened to him in his other school. With what happened with his breakup and his friend, and it seemed like he was carrying a lot of baggage to get this fresh start. And um, he also wasn't afraid to really be who he was, especially with doing the clean teens, right? Even this, like, all right, you're this kid who's kind of got a little bit of edge to him, but you're a clean teen, huh? And you subscribe to the clean teens, like you really do, have integrity with it. Um, and I couldn't have done that. I was just as we were talking about earlier. I wouldn't have had the balls to join a group like Clean Teens in high school. I would have played it, um, you know, pretty simple, straight. Like as I said, play sports, socialize. You know, that was play it safe. So I didn't relate to Chase there, but I think I related to him in the way that he wasn't somebody who wanted to really stir the pot. Um, Friends with everybody, could get along with anybody. Um, Non-judgmental. I felt like that was something that I subscribed to, or at least I tried to back then.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. And then to the other point where you were saying that you went from like a couple episodes to 6 episodes to obviously becoming like a series regular. Do you remember the feeling of when you were eventually added to like the opening credit scene and you get like the gold Stephen Colletti coming up with the
Uh,
Gavin DeGraw over the top? Like that must have been a special moment, right?
that was, man, that was a big moment for me. It's something I wanted for a long time. Actually, after season 4, um, and they were jumping forward in time, and there was conversations. I actually had an offer to be. I wasn't going to be in all episodes, but I would still be a regular. And um, I would have been in a lot more in season 5, but there was this negotiation going on between my agent and the show. And I didn't know really what exactly was happening in those negotiations as far as what the expectation was from production, in Warner Brothers from One Tree Hill. to what my agent was telling me of like, hey, look, this is, what we got to do. We got to negotiate. It's just the way it goes in the business. So we got this. Now, what they didn't take into consideration was, obviously One Tree Hill can go on without Chase Adams at that point, the end of season four. Very easy. It's TV. Like, look, you're not there from the beginning. Like the fans are not gonna necessarily, revolt at the idea that Chase was not going to be in season five. But I think my agent was kind of operating on that because it was really playing hardball on trying to make sure that like we were getting paid X amount of dollars. I would have done it for honestly for free. Like for because to me, I knew not only the value of being on that show at that time, but also what it meant for me personally. I really would have done it for free. Like I enjoyed being out there so much. I enjoyed working with everybody that I did, and the fact that like there was this negotiation period. I'm traveling through Europe at the time, going like, man, I got it made. Like I'm coming back. I've got the One Tree Hill regular gig. Like I could spend some money here in Europe, and like we're gonna be fine. Isn't life just a walk in the park, you know? And I get back, and it was the first day back. My agent gets me on the phone. Actually, no, and I talked to one of the producers, and the producer was like, hey, you should fire your agent. I'm like, what? Like, look, we're so sorry, but we're going in a different direction. We tried to give them this and a deadline. They went through it. They were playing hardball. That's not really what we do here. And I get it. Like the show, part of the reason it can't stay in the air is they have to be, careful with their budgets and make it work for the studio. And Montreal was good about doing that so that it wasn't gonna, be this crazy cost for the studio to continue to make the show. So, for little pipsqueak, Stephen Colletti over here to be asking for extra money or a number that's just, not their worth at that point. They were took offense to that and said, look, but the producer, to their credit, did tell me that, hey, this, I know who you are. I know what the show means to you. I'm so sorry that this happened. We'll look to, bring Chase back down the road, but for right now, this is what it's going to be. Man, devastating. My whole life crumbled in that moment. I know exactly where I was when I got that call. I remember the phone call driving on Highland in Los Angeles. I remember where I was going. I remember where I we ended up. And I was with, my girlfriend at the time, and she had to go in somewhere. And I sat outside on the curb and was just so deflated. And from there, eventually getting the call to come back. I mean, I did one episode in season five, and then coming back in season six when I got the call that, hey, there's this Mia and Chase storyline and this, that. I'm like, oh, I'm in. Don't even, I will tell my agent, whatever they offer, just take it. Don't even try to negotiate or I'll fire you. Just get me out to North Carolina. And thankfully it worked out, and I was so happy to be back. And after a couple seasons, yeah, they kept Chase around, and they finally offered me for, I think, season eight. It was the regular, and so season eight is when you first start seeing Chase in the opening credits, I believe. I might be wrong. I said season nine, but that was massive. That was just a really really cool moment for me and something that I'd wanted from the first day I stepped foot on that set. Um, Chase is walking on the quad, and he's got his skateboard. He's meeting Brooke Davis for the first time. That day, I remember thinking, I'd love to do this show as long as I can, and thankfully, all those years later, we got there. So
What a
It's
great
so
answer.
amazing. It's so amazing to hear your journey with that, and obviously, difficult. Great, it worked out towards the end. I think didn't
yeah,
Owen go into rehab, so that's how you were reintroduced. Is that right? So
that's true. That's
it's
right. I remember that
great that
conversation. Yeah,
he had his problems and that you could come back. Um,
yeah,
but
right.
I think as a character, because so my job on the podcast as a first time watcher is to predict kind of what's going to happen or what I think is going to happen to certain characters. And I think Chase was the hardest to predict whether he was going to come back or not. And I was
Ah,
like, we'd get to the end of season four. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know if we're going to see this guy again. And then it's like, oh, okay, we've got an episode. Okay, that's good. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know, mate. Is it a one and done? I'm not sure because
yeah,
I'm not allowed to look anything up. I'm not allowed to see anything, beforehand. I think he was the hardest to predict, like, but it was nice to see you come back as a regular and yeah, the kind of love triangle battle that you had for a lot of it, or your character had for a lot of it was intense.
Yeah, man, I mean, I'm not surprised that you look at it that way because really, yeah, Chase's his storyline, even though, he was dating Brooke there for a minute at the end of season four, um, yeah, after that, I mean, they could go any direction, and there's already so much going on with the show and the folks that have been there for all these years, and it seems like my character, which I think was originally meant to just kind of slide in for a few episodes and like we'll see how it goes and then we'll go from there. And that's kind of, pulling back the curtain a little bit, that's what they could do in some of these shows, right? Is like, okay, let's try to see how this, character interacts with one of our, original leads here and see how it plays. And we'll give it a few episodes and maybe we'll give it a few more and then we'll take it from there. So they very much give themselves the opportunity. And I understand as an actor showing up there, like, hey, and especially now after what happened with that deal, that hey, your place is not secure ever
Mm.
on a show like that. You got to remember that they could pull the plug quickly and they could just, it could take one sentence, one line of dialogue, or maybe two. Someone says, "What happens to Chase?" The other person says, he got a bad carpet fire. Poor guy, we lost him."
Fell into a ravine. We never saw him again.
Yeah, he was yelling into an abyss and he tripped and fell in.
And that was it. Never seen again. Well, something that we really appreciated about Chase. So, I mean, the context also, Dom and I, like a big part of this podcast is that we're two British men watching an American teen drama, and we started in our early 30s. We're now heading into our or in our late
We're there.
30s, and so we're
We're there.
we're watching. We're there, yeah. We're
We're there.
cemented in the late 30s. Well, we're watching it with a different view. Like I watched it when I was younger, and so like I have an affinity towards it, and then I'm passing that on to Dom. But part of it is that Chase has a real job. And we appreciate that because in a world of of Tree Hill, where you've got, NBA stars and movie stars and fashion designers and
Rockstar.
Rockstar, yeah, all of it. Then you've got Chase. It's like, hey, this dude's got a regular job. He's joining the Air Force, like that's cool. Like, but he's quote unquote like a regular guy, and it's like, well, that's nice because most of us are regular. So it's like you're in some ways like a beacon of normality within a show that's kind of grounded in reality because we always say it's not like there's no supernatural elements in One Tree Hill, but in that time jump, suddenly these are the most successful group of people in their early 20s of all time. Were you ever
Yeah.
like conscious of that you were kind of the representation of like the normal guy, so to speak? Except very
You know,
handsome.
oh, I appreciate that. I think, man, it's cool to hear you say it like that because I always felt like it's like, man, did Chase have enough? Did he do enough to even warrant being around here? I like to make the joke that he's outkicked his coverage, which is something that we say. It's an American football term. That it's like he the fact that he found himself with this, beautiful singer and this beautiful actress, and they're super successful, and they come back to the little hometown and happen to find time for Chase. Like, man, like there's what did he do to deserve that, right? So I always felt like, yeah, like was there enough for Chase to, feel like he belonged in this world? And I I didn't always feel that. I just there were a couple times where I thought I was like, I wonder if Chase was going to, what would he be? Would he become this hugely successful music manager or booker for concerts or something because he starts with Trick and then he's maybe he's booking artists all over the country and becoming a tour manager or something like that. So I was always thinking about what's the end game for Chase in this this world where yeah, all of the characters have these grandiose lives and very successful. So um I I think that it was also very cool that he got to have this job where he's behind the bar and people always come home to this bar because I've got a bar like that back home that, it's where everyone comes back to. You see the bartenders. They might have been a substitute teacher for you in high school, or one of them you might have even gone to high school with. But you sit there and you can catch up. You have like a very real catch up, and it's a safe place. And I really enjoy the fact that Chase was that spot where he could, always be there, and people would roll in, and depending on what's going on with their lives, he would maybe with a towel over his shoulder. Thankfully, we took it off eventually. It was a bit too much. The bar towel over the shoulder. He he could reason with them and have a moment. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that's nice to know that it's something from the audience perspective that it's actually it's good to have something that's a little bit more blue collar, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
definitely. I've always thought that the kind of reason he puts so much emphasis on saying he's the bar manager is for that status reason. Is
There
like
you go.
this is what I've got and this is
Mm.
what I'm going to push. And it's like, oh, the barman, I'm the bar manager, and it's really important to Chase that he expresses that every time. It must have got annoying to have to keep saying it, but
It
yeah,
was
the
it
fact.
was very annoying that to have to continue to say. It was almost like is I feel like this is a joke in the writers' room that they're having a lot more fun with than I am because I started to overanalyze. I'm like, I'm like, how many should I say it differently more? Like, what do I put a full spin on it? And I was like beginning to
Mm,
overthink that one little line, bar manager. But yeah, that's a astute point you just made there.
well, there you go.
You have great chemistry with Lee, and we know this because I mean we saw we were talking to him, and at the convention, and you was sort of passing, and obviously Lee helped us connect here for this episode of the podcast. So thank you, Lee. We love you, Lee Norris. But how did that sort of chemistry and connection happen? Like, did that happen off screen, like before you shared scenes together, or did that just sort of come out of working together?
Yeah, it happened right away. I mean, day one, talking about shooting that season 4, episode 12 scene in Resolve. We
Hmm.
were waiting around about to shoot on the quad, and I think Lee had a scene before me. But when I first showed up and I was walking over to my trailer, Lee pops out of his trailer at the same time he's walking over to hair and makeup, but he comes right up to me, offers up a handshake and says, hey, it's great to have you here. And was just so warm and inviting. And so from there, we immediately struck up a friendship. Lee was like my first real friend in Wilmington. And I'm so grateful to him for that because it really helped make me feel a part of the show and feel comfortable just being there, considering what I was kind of going through in my mind of like, you're just this kid from a reality show. What are you doing here showing up on this One Tree Hill set? So he put me at ease very, very quickly. Um, and we would go on. We lived together in one of the between seasons. We lived in New York. We went up there and we're like, let's, we'll see some plays. We'll see what kind of auditions we can get. And we saw a couple plays, and we might have gone to like one audition over a couple months. But we also just drained our bank accounts and just had so much fun, being a couple of kids in their 20s, hanging out in New York City for what was like 2 months. So it was like an extended vacation. But yeah, always cherish those memories, and we'll never forget. Again, as clear as day, I can remember that handshake with Lee and that really starting things off on the right foot or the right hand, if you will, jumping onto One Tree Hill.
Love that. Love that. And he does have a great handshake. Like I said this to Dom. So like we'd
Yes.
we'd had
Firm grip, isn't it?
yeah, really
Yes, he
firm.
does.
But he
He
kind of
does.
like he kind of so we got these posters years ago, right? And we had like Paul Johansson on early, we had like Barbara on, like we had a few people, and then we kind of didn't have anyone on for a while, and then we did a podcast swap with Drama Queen. So we went on there and they came on here, and that kind of opened the
Awesome.
doors to everything because we kind of realized that Sophia Bush runs things. If you've got her on
Yeah.
your side, then you're good, which is
Yeah.
great.
She's
But
running everything, all sorts of things. She does so much.
yeah, amazing. And they were all her like Sophia, Joy, Rob was so gracious with their time. They really did a lot for us and sort of really helped us. But we got these posters, and I was like, if we don't have Lee Norris on our podcast, like as in, I think my wife might like leave me. If like it's like, well, you have this massive poster of this guy and you can't get him on. And then eventually we managed to get him on because we had Johnny Norris on, one of the writers, who's great and is obviously super successful with Motorheads. And so Johnny, we explained this, and Johnny reached out to Lee, and Lee came on, and we had him on like on Zoom here, and it was so wonderful. And then when we saw him at the convention, it was almost like we've had him on, like I think well, we feel like we have a connection to you. It's like you never really know. And then he
Yeah.
sort of saw us in the hallway, and was just like, Simon, Dom, and just like the handshakes, this hug, and it was just like, I mean, it's gonna, I don't know, this is gonna sound sad to you maybe, but you guys are like, like heroes to me. I'm like starstruck right now, talking to you and like with Lee and everything. And so it's like, I don't know, it's just, they say never meet your idols and heroes and things. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not the case with the cast of One Tree Hill. Like everybody is so,
Oh,
so nice. And you're, proving that in this conversation. But yeah, but Lee has
appreciate
a
that, man.
what a great
Appreciate that.
handshake
It's
that
great
guy
to,
has.
yeah. We've got, it's a memorable one, right? We've both now have a story that it's like, all right, you're feeling a little not necessarily uncomfortable, but you're trying to like get your bearings in the new setting that you're in for you guys at that convention, and to have Lee come up and make you guys put you guys at ease a little bit, and that's awesome. I know that feeling.
Well, and talking about the convention, so obviously, like we said, we just saw you. Was it 2 weekends ago now in Paris for Union Conventions? Tree Hill is your home, part two, which was awesome. Like, how do you feel about the conventions? I think I know you do like the FWB ones as well, which is great. Like how does it feel to be part of something that has this fandom that will travel from different countries and all kinds of things? Like, yeah, what are those experiences like for you?
Man, I honestly I love doing the conventions. I'm always down. I'm always game. I'm always hoping that I get invited to them, to be honest with you, because there's so many characters that have come on the show for so many years and that have done a lot of episodes that they got a lot to pull from. And I'm always very grateful when I get the nod. To have the opportunity to go to a place like Paris and to still have the opportunity to go back to Tree Hill, go back to Wilmington, North Carolina, and just hang out with some folks that, we knew from back in the day. We'll see some crew members, we'll see some friends, we'll see the ghost of ourselves at 21 years old, maybe even underage, maybe at 20 years old, popping around some of the bars downtown Wilmington. Um, that's like to me, that's not lost on me. I really, really feel fortunate to have that opportunity and incredibly grateful. The fans have been so unique and so powerful for this show. First of all, they are what kept the show on the air. The writers did a great job. The actors did a great job. The crew made the show look beautiful. But at the end of the day, to have the vocal fan base online when those early chat rooms back in, 2007, 2008, 2009, that was a big part of what kept the show alive. Like the CW and Warner Brothers, like this fan base is powerful and they love their One Tree Hill. So if we can make it work, let's keep making it work. And that's why it went 9 seasons. And that's proven to this day with the fact that I mean, can't even tell you how many conventions I've been to. I've been back to Wilmington to go to One Tree Hill conventions almost 20 times maybe, and to
Wow.
Paris
Wow.
like 10 times. Like I've
Wow.
been to Paris at least probably 10 times on um, just the pure fact of going to a One Tree Hill convention. So that's super unique. And I really do enjoy it that the atmosphere is is strong to have people come and a lot of them it's for their first time and they're sharing it with their daughter or their son and they're excited to be there and it almost feels like it's kind of this fantasy world because it feels like the show just aired like the season just finished and maybe there's another season coming down the pipeline, but when you sit back and think about it, it's been man it's I mean it's been over what 13 years since the last episode aired. And yeah, the fact that you're continuing to see these conventions filled with people. The one in Paris was just sold out, and it was actually there were more folks there than from the previous year. So it's like the numbers are growing. You're just like, what? Um, it's super special, and I'm just so happy that I get to be a part of it.
Love
I
it.
think that the generational effect of the show is something that has really surprised me the most. Like when we went to Wilmington earlier on in the year for the convention there, and then obviously in Paris, and seeing exactly what you said, it's mothers and fathers passing it down to their kids now and going, it's you can enjoy this too. But even kind of I say kids, like let's say younger people like teenagers, like discovering the show for themselves and going, hey, what's this? And then absolutely fully embracing it and loving it. It does kind of feel like the topics within One Tree Hill, although like okay, you can't avoid the technology not being dated, but the topics, the themes, the sentiment, the kind of heart and soul of the show is timeless and just seems to live on and keeps growing within people. And it for me, that was amazing to see. Like I was like, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting a room of similar aged people to me and Simon, and that's what we were going to get, and it really isn't that at all. It's all ages. It's a little bit crazy, but excellent as well.
Yeah, it's like a reunion you're excited to go back to,
Mm,
and the music's being played from that time, um, some of the fashion choices from that time. So it's like you see the show and it's just it takes you back and I mean really, yeah, I think there's a probably a longing for, I mean, we always, I guess I'm careful how I say this. I don't always long to be back at that age. I actually love being on the precipice of 40 years old and where I'm at in life. But I do long for the simple times as far as, um, there wasn't such an overwhelming pressure for constant content and media, social media, and all that we are all accustomed to now.
mm,
And I think in the show, they really are just like hyper focused on life's problems and eager to speak with one another about it, or go off and find their own little way, their little journey in trying to find their own answers. While these days we all could be, trying to seek answers by scrolling our phones, and um, I think back then, the fact that it was a little bit of a simpler time, the nostalgia of that, I think pulls at the heartstrings.
mm.
But to see new generations that are just growing up accustomed to technology and social media, still dip into the show and find it interesting. Um, I think that that's really cool. Yeah, people don't enjoy watching a show where folks are talking about social media. Maybe there's a joke here and there, and that's great. But of course, you don't want to see your characters scrolling social media. You don't want to see them, having a full-on conflict that is relating to something that went viral in their life or something. To have a more, to your point, be about real life's issues between person to person or within family members. Yeah, I think that that's really cool. And then you mix in some of that great music, very timely, edited perfectly. Get in for those close-ups. It's just, it sings.
It is a little bit of an oxymoron in a way, isn't it? Because it's One Tree Hill is in a lot of ways timeless, but it is also like what Dom said. It is dated in a great way because there are flip phones and MSN Messenger and that kind of thing. But I think what you're both saying is so right.
Yep.
There's a quaintness about it that is in some ways kind of
Yeah.
like a safety blanket. But Dom just said a really lovely thing and was like, that was very heartfelt and lovely. But I'm going to put him on the spot of something else he was doing over that weekend, which was Dom was he was playing a game with me of a tally of pointing out which people were being forced to be there, like which boyfriend or whose dad or who is it that is actually putting on the Tree Hill Ravens t-shirt and putting
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
brave face but is being forced there. We counted about 6 or 7, didn't we?
I think I was
That's it,
7. Yeah.
huh? I was surprised not actually that's actually pretty good. That's yeah. Man, is chivalry dead actually? Because the fact there's only 6 or 7 of the partners that don't necessarily care about the show, but just still decided to show up. No, I'm just playing. I think I always, note that when I see those guys that are there and they're got that look on their eye. You know, you could tell that they're just like what Twilight Zone am I in right now? Like I actually, because I've seen these people on the show a little bit, but they mean absolutely nothing to me. But they seem to really, make an impression on my partner, and she's also or he is shaking and maybe crying and what is going on? But they're always super gracious and sweet, and I make sure to say, hey, you're a good man or you're a good woman. You're here with your partner, supporting them. That's it's nice to see. So yeah, that's
Even if
interesting tally. I like it.
yeah, it was a fun game, and I didn't know Simon would throw that at me
I
right now. But yeah, it was good.
like to,
Even if you're there to hold the bag, hold the bags, hold the merch that people have bought.
Yeah,
You
take the
yeah.
do
picture.
you're doing a good job.
I like to think as they're walking out, they're like, now when we get home, we're watching Breaking Bad. It's my
Yeah.
turn to choose. It's
Yeah, yeah,
my turn.
yeah, yeah.
We love it. But okay, so well, I want to talk. Obviously, we want to talk about everyone is doing great. I just have one more One Tree Hill related question because there's in season 9 the sort of infamous scene of where you go and have an interaction with Chuck's dad. Um, and that the cinematography on that scene is quite unique in the realms of One Tree Hill of like I think it was done really well where they sort of zoom out and they're just Chuck's kind of outside or Michael May's outside and you see Chase going in and you kind of just seeing the silhouette and he's obviously taken in like the tire iron or whatever. Obviously there's loads to talk about within that, but just to film that scene did you quite like enjoy the sort of the artistry of it of being quite it was more like a movie scene than necessarily TV.
Yeah. I was really excited to get the opportunity to kind of go that deep in that storyline with Chuck and his dad. Um, Felt like it was a big moment for Chase. You really got to see him, um, stand up for something bigger than himself, have a major conflict, and see how he would react to it. I remember being pretty surprised actually by the reaction as far as what Chase was doing. I was a little taken aback about how violent back Chase was being. I thought maybe Chase would, this is a punch, right? This is something that definitely, gives him a little taste of his own medicine from what he's doing to his kid. But I remember originally taken aback by how violent they were having Chase go. I mean, he beats him to within, an inch of his life. And you see it back. And I remember they just kept they're like, just go harder, harder. Because I was just like kind of doing it once or twice and then like, kind of swiping across. But they're just like, just keep going. And I was like, man, like that's takes a particular type of person to keep going. I mean, keep going on somebody who's clearly knocked out or beat up. So, um, yeah, I remember being a little bit conflicted about just how violent Chase he should be back to Chuck's dad. Um, but I really enjoyed working through those scenes. It was, yeah, some of you know, um, the juicier stuff, the meatier stuff, I should say, as far as a lot of um, careful steps were taken to just make sure we were doing it right. A lot of discussing choices and rehearsing things. It did feel different. It's cool to hear you say that it didn't necessarily feel like a scene that was in a TV show. It felt like it was a scene out of a movie because there was a lot of sensitivities taken. Well, maybe not sensitivities is the right word. There's a lot of care that was taken into making sure that that was being executed properly, and they wanted to shoot it cinematically, and I think that they did a good job with that. So yeah, it was for me something I remember and look back on as one of my favorite. I mean, the whole storyline with as being a big brother to Chuck for Chase, that was very important to me. I really enjoyed that. And then, yeah, of course, having that moment with his father, that was special stuff. I really enjoyed those run of scenes. for Chase and Chuck.
Yeah, great.
It's the best storyline in the season.
No,
And
I appreciate that.
without a doubt. I mean, we've got the whole, Nathan situation, but I still think this. I think it's because of the weight of it as well, and like the
Mhm.
relationship that you had with Michael, and it, seeing the kind of chemistry that you have with him, and it is that okay, you're more than just the kid that I look after, and seeing that your character go through that kind of development and that change, and suddenly go, hang on a minute, I care about this kid, and this means more than you know just looking after someone else's kid.
Yeah.
It's actually has purpose, and it came across so well, and I think it's the best storyline in the whole season.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm a younger brother. I was my family. I'm third child. First mistake over here. But I have a brother. My older brother. We were never close growing up. He was like 4.5, 5 years older than me, and I never blamed him for it. I was like, if I was his age and I was just entering high school as he's getting out of high school, would not necessarily want to spend time with him, too often outside of, having to share a home. But he's always, my older brother's always taken good care of me and looked after me. And I think some of my biggest lessons in life I have definitely learned from him. And it could be something that he just said in passing, but I looked up to him so much that I would kind of hang on every word that he would say. And so when the storyline came around, it really made me think a lot about my relationship with my brother.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, great answer. I do just realize that we might get like hated on in the comments if we don't ask you this, and you must have been asked this so many times, so I apologize in advance. Oh wait. And we have to be careful because Dom hasn't seen the final two episodes,
Ah,
and actually I can't. So I've seen the show like 5 times over, but I've only seen season 9 twice, and the last time was over 5 years ago for before we started this, so I actually can't quite remember. But what did you prefer, Chase, with if of the in the love triangle? I apologize again. I know you've had it a million times, but did you prefer him like with Mia, with Alex, or did you actually think he would have been better just starting afresh? Like, did you have a preference for
yeah.
him?
I first of all, I enjoyed working with both of them so much. I think the relationship between Chase and Mia was phenomenal. I think they were so sweet with each other. Um, It was very tender, and I thought that they had a good thing going on. Um, and I could, with the same thing, with Chase and Alex, a different kind of relationship. It really that one a little more fiery. Um, I thought that they also had, and two different periods of their lives. Where Chase was at, I think it was great with Mia, and then where he was at when he was meeting Alex. There might have been, of course, there was some overlap there for a little while, but I thought both relationships were strong. I always did feel like, again, come back to what I said earlier, Chase was out kicking his coverage. He didn't deserve either of them. So I was sitting back saying, like, he doesn't deserve Mia. He doesn't deserve Alex. Like they're great, but like look at the careers that they have, and they're off touring the world, whether they're performing in big movies and shows or touring their playing concerts all around the world. Like they should not be coming back or waiting for this guy. So I feel like he didn't deserve either one, even though they were both great relationships. I think in the end, because I was like, expect this guy to be alone. Like his love was going to be the bar. Um, I think it's great that they tried to make things work, but yeah, timing is everything in life. And both of those relationships, the timing did not work out very well. I will say, I thought we got up to see a little bit more of Chase and Mia, which is sweet, but ultimately the Chase and Alex, the rug was pulled on that so fast, like just right when we felt like they were reaching some good new ground, and it would be nice to see how their relationship, um, how they worked as they started to settle into things, right? All right, she's moved in, now let's see them take on life together. not try to figure out their relationship. Let's see them now be a unit and see how they take on life's problems as a unit. And he didn't get to see that. And for that, I always wish we got to see a little bit more.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. I forgot that some people wrote in some questions. Can we do some quick fire questions? We'll do like quick fire, and because we really want to talk about everyone's doing great. Not that these
Sure.
questions aren't important, listeners. These are obviously the most important questions.
We're in the
Uh,
hot seat. Let's go.
okay. Wendy asks, I loved seeing him, you are him, and Tyler. Does you have a fun memory from working with him? I feel like this has been asked, but I can't remember. Okay, so yes.
Oh man, we had so much fun working together. It was so great because I'd heard so many good things about him. I'll say I want to say this. We have a lot of great memories working in that final season together. We finally got to hang out. I've been hearing all these great things about Tyler for all these years, but we never worked together until season 9 came around, and we hit it off right away. And I really, really enjoyed everything about season 9. Had so much fun. So it's the one thing that would keep me like, oh, I wish we did some more episodes. Was like, oh, it would be fun to see what else Chase and Chris Kelly could get into. So because that friendship was really cool. I liked the way um, that was evolving. But for Tyler, early on, I'd been on the show for 2 years or something, and I knew about him and our paths had never crossed until I was pulling into a garage outside of an Air One, early years of Air One in Los Angeles, which is like this like very trendy, overpriced organic market. And I had to like quickly hit the brakes for this person crossing the street, and it was Tyler. And this is in LA, just randomly. And I was like, that's Tyler Hilton. And I was like, should I say hi? Should I not? I was like, it's weird. Like, hey man, we're both. And I was like, no, you got it. So rolled down my window, and he's kind of looking over, like, what? Like, and I was like, hey, Steven. And he right away he came up. He's like, oh yeah, man, what's up? Like, seeing you've been on the show, congrats. And he was super kind. So that was our one run in. And then for years, nothing. And then he came in and did season 9, and we got to hang out, and we were just instant buds. So yeah, he's awesome.
Love that. We
Very
had
good.
him Tyler on. He did a show in London earlier this year, and we got to interview him backstage, and he was saying how
No,
much he loved
that's
season
awesome.
9. So like and loved working with you. So that's great.
He's so good in season 9. It's so Chris Keller is such a great character. You love to hate him, and but you also you love him. There's just so many pieces to him, and there are tender moments too. The guy's trying to find himself, he's trying to figure it all out, but can't help being Chris Keller. It's great.
Yeah, and Chase got, oh God, okay, I'm going to stop now because I will go on forever. But Chase actually allowed him to grow as a character. He allowed him to balance. So okay. Liz asks, oh, that's she says you've lived with both James and Rob in real life. Which One Tree Hill character would
And
you like?
Lee.
And Lee, yeah, Liz, get it right, Liz. I almost feel like that's not
Come
answer her
on, Liz.
question. No, I'm joking. We love you, Liz. You've lived with both James, Rob, and Lee in real life. Which One Tree Hill character would you like to live with, and who would be the worst to live with, and why?
Oh man. Speaking as Steven, not who I think Chase would. All right. Let's see here. That's a great question. One I have never thought about. I feel like Mouth would be just a great roommate. He would be like if you're looking for depending because this all depends on where you're at in life. I, if you're looking for a stable home environment, a reliable, trustworthy roommate who is not going to steal your food, be obnoxious, um, I feel like Mouth would be a great roommate. Um, and I'm sticking to guys here. We're gonna play it safe. I don't think because yeah, I don't think I mean, Chase is friend zoned with a lot of people in the show, so I guess he could potentially, but let's see here. Who would be, oh man. I mean,
There.
Chris Keller would probably be a terrible roommate. Yeah, yes. If I could speak for me, if I had to have Chris Keller as my roommate, I mean, it would probably be, I feel like he's leaving dishes in the sink, and nothing,
Mm,
nothing against it. He's got bigger fish to fry. He's off to the next gig. He's an artist that's probably living in a very, disheveled way. That's just the way he lives his life, and almost, likes to produce in a way that's got, clutter around. He can kind
mm.
of thrive in that environment. I hope that's what I'm thinking of Chris Keller. If I'm missing a storyline where Chris Keller was like OCD, like super clean freak, I'm gonna be terribly embarrassed. But I just didn't think that he was.
Great answer. I would have chosen Xavier as the worst roommate personally. Well, who would yours have been, Dom? Who would be the worst one?
As the worst.
Psycho Derek.
Oh, Psycho
Yeah,
Derek, yeah.
Psycho there. That's a good
That would be
one.
another one. I was thinking, main. I didn't even think about the ones that kind of popped in for a few, but yeah, those are good choices there.
Just
Who do
Dan.
you
I
who do you
think
got, Dom?
Dan. I think Dan would be. I would have to keep one eye open the whole time. I wouldn't
Yeah.
wouldn't wouldn't trust him at all.
Yes, asking you to hide weapons.
Yeah.
Well, Tessa asks, she says, retro Colletti fan from the Laguna Beach days. How did your time on reality TV impact your journey into acting, and how was it going back and filming the reunion recently? I think this happened last week, they said.
It did.
She said.
It did. Oh man, what a fun, funny, weird week we had. Um, but it was great to have the cast together again and to look back on this interesting moment in our lives where we were, documented for that show. So, had a lot of fun with it. There were a lot of laughs. There were some tears, and yeah, definitely looking forward to fans of the original show seeing that in the spring of next year. Shout out Roku, by the way. Roku is the one who put it together with us, greenlit it, and they did a fantastic job producing it with us. So we're super excited to have found them. And double-edged sword coming from reality. I do not recommend it. Just stick to, if you're trying to be an actor, stick to studying um, your craft, putting yourself in plays, getting yourself out there, working on sets, no matter what position it is. Just get on sets and working. But yeah, I wouldn't be here and wouldn't have been on One Tree Hill if it wasn't for Laguna. Um, but there has been some tough times. There's definitely there's a um, you know kind of a reputation that comes with it. Maybe not a reputation, but more of like it's just not the traditional path, and not it can be looked at because it is just like, oh, it's kind of like based off your real life, and it's like, you're not studying this art to create these characters. You're just playing you. That, people would look at me like I was cutting corners. And I get that. I technically did. I got opportunities because of this reality show totally by pure luck. Um, but I just made sure over the years that I buckled down and respected the art, which I do very much, and just really wanted to tell stories. And I think over the years, thankfully, that has shown that wasn't in this to be somebody who was famous. I just really wanted to tell stories and really enjoyed the challenge of taking on characters and trying to create. Whether it be in TV and film, just create characters and be a part of stories. So that weren't my own, that weren't about me because if you watch Laguna Beach, and I do not recommend it, I was um, I was just such a knucklehead in high school, again, who was just all screwed up and didn't know how to control his emotions and didn't know how to really have any sort of emotions and process it. So it's much more fulfilling doing it through character and not through myself. So again, double-edged sword. I'm very, very grateful for it. Would go back and do it all over again, even though it was a very kind of traumatic experience. But yeah, it opened some doors, but also kept some doors firmly closed.
But I guess also like no two people's paths are the same, and your path worked out. And so like as in I don't think there's any sort of shame or anything of being in reality TV and moving through because I think people obviously enjoy you as a person and sometimes that shines through like as it and like it does with Chase like with Lee is a great example. Is there's loads of things that Mouth as a character does that is questionable from when you're looking at it from an adult perspective, and like you forgive it because it's early 2000s and this, that, and the other. But I mean, he throws a brick through a windshield once because Brooke won't date him. Like there's all kinds of things. But we always say but you can't not love Mouth because Lee Norris kind of shines through the character, and so we like him. And obviously the character, you have ups and downs. It's about evolving and everything. But that's the same. That's the same with you, and the same with lots of actors. It's like, but we're drawn. There's a quality about people, right? That comes out of the screen, and not everybody has that. So whether you're discovered on reality TV or on the street or in an elevator. It's like, well, if you have it, you have it, and if you don't, you don't, and you obviously have it. And so I think as long as the path got you there, it doesn't really matter, is what I would say.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it's always been something I've kind of struggled with, gotten much better at it over the years. I'm older, but being ashamed of kind of where I came from with the reality show, if you will. But now I've come to a place of um, not being proud of it because again, there were some choices I made on the show that were questionable, and there was a lot of, your life was fully sensationalized, and there was a version of what happened to me at that point in my life, and then a version of what they told.
Mhm.
And it's already one thing to try to metabolize what happened to you in your personal life, but then also what people a lot of people think happened to you based off of what the show put out there. So it's been always a dicey thing, but much in a much more comfortable place. And now I can look back and be proud of certain things. Well, I think it's not proud of it. It's proud of how far we've come,
Mm.
thankfully, and that we are here still standing. And somehow, um, you know, um, I've kept out of jail and or a lot of trouble in other ways. But yeah, I think. Yeah, it's you know it's funny, you're right what you say about characters. It's at the end of the day, like you're always bringing a piece of yourself to it. We're not all Daniel Day-Lewis's out here that maybe can completely transform themselves. But even Daniel Day-Lewis, like his Lincoln, it's Daniel Day-Lewis's version of Lincoln, and he
Mm.
can fall into that character and be Lincoln's wife could be sitting here today and saying, I don't see Daniel Day-Lewis. I see Abe. It could be something like that. But it's his version of it. Another version of that is saying, no one can go play Johnny Depp's, Jack Sparrow the way he does. Like that's Johnny Depp's that Jack Sparrow, and it's very distinct to him, and he is the man for that job because he's got a little bit of a pirate quality to him naturally. So, um, yeah, I do believe that every character you play, you're bringing a piece of yourself to it, whether big or small.
Great answer. Great answer. Okay, we'll go through these ones a bit more quick because I know we don't want to take up. We would keep you here all day, but we won't. Chuck asks, is there anything about the Chase character that you would have changed?
Um, I would have seen a little bit more. I would have liked to have the relationship with Chase and Alex play out more through season 9. I thought that would have been nice.
Oh yeah, you said that, and that was good.
Perfect.
Excellent. Kat asks, what do you think Chase would be up to in 2025? And Nicole on the back of that says yes, would be interested in whether you can talk on this or not. We're not going to push you on it, but obviously we know that there is a reboot coming at some point, hopefully. Dom and I have even got it greenlit from Sophia Bush herself that we can be background performers in it. So we still.
Yes, 100%.
uh,
100%.
but what do you think Chase would be up to? And we won't press you on the reboot because we don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. I think Chase bar owner by the end of it all.
Mm.
Thankfully,
Oh,
bar owner. Shout out Haley on that one. I think he's definitely still at Trick as far as running the joint. I could see him like have expanding a little bit. Maybe there's a couple more venues. I don't think Trick is a chain. I don't think Chase would want Trick to become a chain, but I could see Trick continuing to do very well. And maybe he's, opening some restaurants around town or other music venues in other parts of North Carolina. I could totally see that. So I think he's got um, his feet firmly planted in the ground in Tree Hill. Um, I think that he probably still thinks that he could be dating rock stars and actresses and again out kicking his coverage, if you will. But he's still keeping it humble back home with the job, still running Trick, keeping it. I think he knows that it's a sacred place, right? Trick is and I could see him, wanting to maintain the integrity of that place and keeping it so that when people do come back, Trick is how they left it and how they hope it to be when they do come home. So yeah.
Love that.
I think one of those venues should be the pilot's lounge at the airport.
Mm.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. That's clever. Uh, Texas Lauren, and yes, she's geographically known as Texas Lauren. That's how many Laurens we have listening, Stephen. But she says you play a bar manager in One Tree Hill, but in real life, what is your go-to drink you are ordering yourself at a bar?
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to officially state here that I can make a good drink. Unfortunately, we know Chase is getting a little too overzealous with his recipes, but I like to keep it simple. You give me a little tequila, a little bit of soda, a couple of limes, squeeze that all in there as long as it's a good tequila, usually a Blanco actually. Um, that's a favorite drink of mine. I like a good margarita from time to time, but I don't like a lot of sweet and sour. I don't like a lot of the margarita super sugary stuff. I like to kind of take like a little bit of tequila, a little bit of soda, throw a lime in there, and then like a splash of the margarita mix to get that margarita flavor. Yeah, that's probably my go-to.
Great answer. Great answer. Okay, last list. The question is, this one's deep. This one's a bit deep. From Charlie, what are you most proud of in your career/life?
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, is it being on this podcast? You are welcome.
Oh man.
That
Um,
was a quick no.
No.
First of all, it's been a pleasure joining you guys today. So let's not sell you guys short here.
Thank you.
Absolutely proud to be here today. I can't say it's my most proud accomplishment, but we're we're,
No,
we're
that's
proud to
fair.
spend some time with you today.
Thank you.
Um, I think that, like I said earlier, I feel very happy with um, where I'm at in life as far as how far we've come, what we can still do to be, on the precipice of turning 40 and looking around. I'm recently married, have a beautiful wife, Alex.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very, very happy about that. And my friends and family around me are very important to me. And everyone is doing pretty well.
Oh, come
Healthy,
on.
You really missed
happy.
a
I
trick
know.
there.
I'm happy to be surrounded by people that I really, really enjoy. And I feel like, I'm proud to be right where I am now. And that's, I'm a married man with a beautiful wife. We'll be looking to grow a family, and I've got very solid core group of friends and family around me that I, cherish the times with them. And again, I think just to make it this far, I'm very proud of that. We didn't know if we were going to make it to 30 at one point. So the fact that we're staring 40 in the face and a lot to be grateful for. So I know that sounds so cheese dick, and I'm so sorry, but that's honestly how I feel.
That's perfect.
We love it. We love it. Okay, well, you almost name dropped it with like that everyone is doing great. That's why we was laughing. You said everyone's doing well. It's like, how can you do that? Everyone's doing great. What? So
That's funny. Well,
everyone's
because if you say everyone's doing great, are they though? Because when it's like, how are you? I'm great. Always, it's
Mm.
great. The answer is great, no matter what's going on. So I was like, what have you answered honestly?
That's so true. That's true. Yeah. Well, so everyone's doing great. When we were speaking to James about this in Paris, we were saying what a sentence we can just say. Sorry. Like I I will be processing this conversation, Stephen, for a long time after this that we've had this little moments. Okay, but we were talking to James and saying we purposefully haven't watched Everyone is Doing Great because we've got 2 episodes left of One Tree Hill, and then we're going to podcast Everyone is Doing Great, one podcast episode for each episode, and go through it.
Yes.
So we can,
Awesome.
so
That's
we.
amazing. Dude, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. But so both of us, Dom and I, will be first time watchers. And so I
Cool.
know generally about the premise, and I know that it's got this reputation for being really funny and kind of almost having like a more British sort of dry sense of humor, it's been described to me as. But how did that begin? Because you and James, obviously, you share scenes and things in One Tree Hill, but it's not like you're not sort of pitted together all of the time. So is that like a similar situation with Lee, where you became like fast friends off of, of when you're not working, and then that grew into you co-creating this?
Yeah, I think yeah, James is one of my closest friends and it all began there working on One Tree Hill together. And we'd always wanted to have more scenes together or work together more, not necessarily on One Tree Hill, but just we're always envious of the folks that get to make um, TV and film with the folks that they, really love and really enjoy being around. You think about, growing up on those kind of the Apatow films and the Seth Rogens and Jonah Hills and their whole like crew of friends that they would bring in to make things together and make these comedies. So I felt like, it was almost it was a very easy road to find ourselves on because we're buddies who are hanging out constantly and going through the same grind of moving back to LA when Tree Hill is over and figuring out what's next. And we would commiserate together, whether it's auditions or just what it's like to be in LA and um, we were sharing a similar experience, I think, at that time of trying to figure out what's that next thing. You can't always just fall back on getting back on One Tree Hill. So as the years have grown on, we've been able to, commiserate together and share kind of a similar, a little bit of a sense of, you know, what we could kind of take the piss out of, I'd say. What kind of we'd find some comedy in some of the sillier moments we might find ourselves working in the entertainment industry and trying to figure out what that next gig is. So I think from there's kind of a natural, like, all right, that's something that we know that's very specific, right? Now let's put it on, a story with some characters that really have a lot of faults, and um, let's see them try to figure out life if they just are struggling from one step to the next. Um, in very different ways. And so, James originally came to me with the idea and I got it right away. I was like, okay, this was an easy sell. And I think that this could be really, really fun and also very therapeutic because we've seen so many stories from whether they're our own personal or whether they've happened to friends, to be able to take some of that and kind of share versions of them, paint them onto everyone is doing great and fit them into those storylines. It's been therapeutic in a way because you can kind of like, all right, let out this isn't this kind of crazy what we do. Like, look, we put ourselves out here. We try to, make it in this business and really take so much rejection and give a little bit of your soul away every day to then eventually find a job and then start to get it back, if you will, feel like, oh yeah, this is what we do it all for. So there's a natural progression there, and we started working together, and it was like right away it clicked, felt like we were on the same page of what the story was, that the comedy in it, the style that we were going to shoot it, how to really kind of capture what we wanted to make it something a little bit different and still play with a world that we are very, very familiar with. People are like, oh, is it your guys' lives? It's like, no, it's not our lives. It's definitely a life that we know very well. And I say it's almost like a life if we had listened to the little devil on our shoulder
Mhm.
all those years, this is what our lives would probably look like today.
What a great answer. And so we know that there's two seasons, right? And season one's out and season two is coming out soon, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're working on getting it the right home. So we've been sitting on it here for a little while. And we're excited to get it out. Very, very anxious, and it will be coming soon.
And is
Yes.
I mean, I get maybe we're not able to answer this and don't answer it if it's like would get you in trouble or anything, but then are there hopes for more after that? Like are we hoping for a season three and so
Yeah,
on?
I've always said it. Like we are energized to make more of it. We hope that we get the opportunity to do that. We're thankfully in a spot where we can control our fate because we continue to be an independent TV show. And hopefully, if it's just enough people take on our show and it does well enough that, we could use what the proceeds are from, say season two success, if you will, and roll that into making another season on our own, then we're in our own control there. We don't have to worry about a streamer saying, yes, please make us more. We've kind of figured out a formula for that, but it's also very, very difficult. We've called in a lot of favors over the years to be able to do it on a shoestring budget, and make it, something that we can keep, close to the vest as far as like we continue to own it and there's no one else that's making the decisions for us. But can we do that again in the third season? We hope we have a little bit more of a fruitful budget, if you will, to truly give a lot of the people behind and on camera their due. But we'll see. We're always highly motivated to make it, so we definitely want to do a season three, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Great. Okay, and then last question is talking about keeping things close to the vest. I see that like a way to support it, is doing great. Is you have like these crew neck jumpers that you can buy, or sweatshirts you call them. We call them jumpers. And I was looking
Yeah.
at them just a couple nights ago, and I'm 6'2", and so I'm always maybe 6'1" now. I slouch a bit, but I often am like, I'm worried about the length of them. Like, is an XL going to be long enough, Stephen? What do you think? Like, should I be
It
ordering the XL to be, is it going to be long enough?
I think it will be. I think I mean, if 6'2", I mean, I'm 6 feet and I'm going with a medium. So you might even be able to go with a large. They're a little oversized and they will shrink
Okay.
up a little bit. But if you like to wear them a little bit baggier, an XL should be plenty. So
Okay,
you're going to
good.
be fine there.
Okay, good. Yeah, I prefer like the bagginess and like we probably have, slightly different physiques, only slightly, but but well, continued success for you, we hope for is a sentence I've said in the wrong order.
It's like
For
Yoda.
for for everything that you're doing for it, for everyone is
Love
doing.
Yoda speak.
Yeah,
Yep.
and of course, for British Yoda, for everything you're doing, for everything you've done. One Tree Hill is a really special show to me. Like it's had a really like it had a deep impact on me in my earlier life, in helping me. Like I kind of see the show as people wanting to better themselves and become better versions of yourself. And like you were saying, I think I had periods when I was younger too, where it's I did a lot of evolving, let's say, and so the show was really impactful to me. And then to have it impact again in this very peculiar way of us doing a podcast and then, Dom and I doing this together as best friends and this kind of being like a passion project that we've been able to do for the last 5 years has been wonderful. So thank you so much for your part of being part of something so special, but also for taking the time to speak with us. Like this has been, we've interviewed pretty much everybody in the cast. We have three people left, which is Chad, Moira, and Austin. Or the three we're after. Austin, we were so close to in Paris. He was fine. He agreed to it, but then there just wasn't time in the schedule. But this has been one of my favorite ones, and yeah, you've been so kind to us. So yeah, just thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to chat with you today, and you guys continue to keep the flame alive with One Tree Hill and carry it to keep that community connected to folks that are, whether hearing or watching it for the first time or just want to rewatch it with somebody that's with a community that's rewatching it through a podcast like yourselves. So thank you for what you guys do, and it's awesome to hear that, man. You go your whole career looking for an opportunity to be on a show like this that has an effect on folks like this, but that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do it, at least for me. Tell stories and have people connect with them in one way or another, and hopefully it can stand the test of time a little bit. So very unique with this one, and always happy to chat about it. So thank you guys.
Oh,
Thank
awesome. Thank you so much. Honestly, you've been so gracious with your time as well. And just an absolute joy to speak to. So, yeah, really appreciate your time and everything you've contributed to the show and now obviously coming on our podcast, which means absolute the world to us. So, thank you so much.
and it
100%. How you get where you guys go? Go ahead.
I was going to say, is there anything that our listeners can do to support everyone is doing great? Like, as in the jumpers, yes, like our sweatshirts, jumpers. I'll put the links. I will put the links below. But is there anything else that we can be doing to
Send cash.
Yeah. No, honestly, just following the show on social media, especially Instagram there, and just supporting whenever there's content being put up, the likes and the comments, all that. Engagement, if you will, is something that goes a long way. There's people that are looking at that stuff. So, yeah, thank you for everyone that's already interacted with the show up to this point. It's really what's gotten us here to be able to make an independent show, which is so tough to do. So, to have the community of One Tree Hill behind it has been instrumental. And yes, just the continued support through social media. You don't necessarily have to go and buy the merch, but the merch is good. It's comfy merch, and we want to make sure we got good hats. So I would recommend one of those. But honestly, just following us on social media and sharing some comments and likes are perfect. That's plenty.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.